The reason I was able to surrender now is because I knew I was loved. So there will be certain things, for example, that are happening in my life, and it looks like God is not going to come through. And I have to snap myself out of it. It's like, no, that's not the character of God. He would never do me like that. But before, in the old mindset, I wasn't sure that God loved me. I still had this part of me that thought that if I asked him for an apple, he'll give me a snake. So because I thought if I asked him for an apple, he'll give me a snake, that means I felt like God was liable to pull the wool over my eyes, give me the okie doke, to sabotage me. So because I felt like that was a part of his character, right, that God was mischievous in his handling of me, I couldn't fully trust him. But who really is mischievous? Is it God? No, it's the enemy. So because I had so many experiences, encounters with demonic entities and forces working through people that had impacted my life, it had now allowed me to collect this identity of God that I processed him and interpreted him as, or projected onto him, this idea that he is mischievous. He cannot be trusted. And when he's not doing that, he's simply not caring. He's abandoning. He's neglectful. At the very minimum, if he's not intentionally or deliberately doing something to me, he sure is not caring enough. So you know what? Let me take matters into my own hand. And by bringing that all to him and reconciling these things, God took me through the reconciliation of even race, like race politics and race conversations and all of this. He reconciled it. Generational curses, things that happen in my family, dysfunction. He reconciled these things with me. And it's through that reconciliation that I realized, like, oh, you love me, right? You love me. And every single day I am growing in that love. And it's so funny, like, before, when I did not know God loved me, that's why it made it so easy to do things on survival strength, and made it so easy, to be in that strong, independent woman mode, because nobody got me. Nobody really had me. The funny thing is, I believed in God. I believed that he existed, but I didn't believe that he cared about me. It's one thing to know that God is present and like, okay, I need to follow the rules to make sure that I can get through. But I didn't know that he cared about me. And I think that's the best way to say it. I thought, I just need to be a part of the club of God, right? But he wanted me to know I was his child. And even though I considered myself his child, I called myself the king's daughter, like for years and years and years, over a decade. My signature on my phone was the king's daughter. Anybody text me, the king's daughter, the king's daughter, the king's daughter. So I had this conceptually. I wanted that. But what did it mean to actually live as the king's daughter? What did it actually mean to be loved by the king? And being loved by the king was a very, I don't want to say it was a traumatizing experience, but it was a redefining moment in my life. It's almost like, I was being sucked into this force field, and it was scary in its own way. And it was peeling away things and exposing things that I was not even aware was there. So then now the stability comes, the security comes, the self-worth comes, and now seeing myself how he sees me. And then now all of these different voices, all of these different realities, all of these different memories, all these different suggestions and implications of who I may be wiped away. And the funny thing is, when I was in my strong, independent woman mindset, I was so sure that that's who I was. I was so for certain that's who I was. You couldn't tell me anything. I was so confident in that mindset. And now I realize that, oh my gosh, girl, you were so far from the truth. So far from the truth. Close, but still extremely far. And it's not until I surrendered that I understood the reason I was able to surrender now is because I knew I was loved.